Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2016 ITTF World Tour Swedish Open, a major series on the World Tour. I'm your commentator, Adam Bobrow, coming to you live from Stockholm, Sweden, and we are getting into our second to last day, the quarterfinals coming up. We're going to start off with the women's singles quarterfinals, and we've got two familiar faces coming up first. You can see right there, Kasumi Ishikawa of Japan versus Qian of Poland, Humelek and Jun Ji-hee later today. Following that, Jonathan Groth and Matthias Carlsen in front of the home crowd. And after that, last week's champion at the Austrian Open, Kenta Matsudaira versus Marcos Freitas of Portugal. So it should be an exciting day of table tennis ahead. You can see some of the others on the other side of the bracket coming in. And now our officials, our defender on the right, and the top seed, Kasumi Ishikawa, right next to her. It's been an exciting tournament so far. And these two head-to-head have only played once before. Kasumi Ishikawa won that match, but that was in 2012 at the Olympic Games, so it's been some time.
At the women's singles quarterfinals. On table number one, representing Japan.
Some of the fans here coming in to see, with their fans from all over the world, many of the Chinese fans coming to support their favorite players. Kasumi Ishikawa on the left there, and the short pips chopper, 30 years old, Qian. And our umpire, Cheryl Benjaminch from Netherlands. And from Bulgaria, our assistant umpire, Svetozar Hristov. So Kasumi Ishikawa, the left-handed attacker on the left side there with the shorter hair. Very smooth strokes from both sides. Had a chance to see her at the Women's World Cup last year in Sendai, Japan, taking second place behind Liu Shiwen, playing the women's singles final. Now Qian, a little bit there's Sato. He told me Sato, top defender right now, one of the top two defenders from Japan. But Kasumi Ishikawa, very smooth in her stroke, currently world ranked number 6. And you can see the coach in the corner for Qian is Kinga Stefanska, teammate from Poland. Hard hitter who's been with her throughout this tournament, doing her quite well so far. Qian has pulled off several upsets. Just to let you know how Qian got here, in the opening round, Qian started off playing Eka So of Japan. That was a 4-0 victory. The next round she faced Hitomi Sato, so chopper versus chopper. Now Qian, using the short pips on the backhand, is going to have a little bit more ability to vary the spin on the backhand side, especially with hard hits. She's also going to be able to attack more with the short pips without having to twiddle the racket like Hitomi Sato would. But that's a big upset. Qian taking out world number 23, Hitomi Sato, 4-1. In the next round, she took down German Shan Xiaona. Another big upset, world rank number 20, that's Shan Xiaona. 4-3, 11-9 in the 7th. Very exciting round of 16 match for Qian to be here. Kasumi Ishikawa in blue. Right, tell you a little bit about how she got there, how she got here rather. Right now they're determining. So Qian wins the coin toss, and Kasumi Ishikawa gets the second choice. You can either choose where you stand or serve or receive. So Kasumi Ishikawa will stay on that side of the table. There's her coach, Gao Yuyao, practice partner and coach. Originally from China, has been with Kasumi Ishikawa for some time now. So in the opening round, Kasumi Ishikawa, the first seed here at 23 years old and world rank number 6. So right off the bat, started off against Andrea Todorovic of Serbia. 4-1 victory. Following that, Honoka Hashimoto, the short pips chopper from Japan. It was a 7-game victory for Kasumi Ishikawa, so real challenge, 11-7 in game 7. And after that, Zhou Yihan from Singapore, one of the up-and-coming Singaporean players. 4-1 victory for Kasumi. So you can see there Qian with her ranking from time of entry. Currently number 40 in the world. And again, with 2 upsets so far, despite being 30 years old, 7 years older than her opponent, is going to be a tough match. Patience, definitely a strong strategy against defenders. Now, tactically, you're going to have to change up your game a lot as an attacking player. You can't depend on the topspin coming in. You really have to move the feet. Good time for Lovebirds to get some good seats. Wow, she's really hanging on there. So yeah, against defenders, patience is important, bringing them into the table so that you can have them closer, a little bit less time for them to react to your attack shot. Keep them guessing as always. Unpredictability, a huge factor no matter who you're playing. At this level of play, players know so well what to do when they can predict what's coming. They can see clearly. You'll see that a lot on service as well, some variation. Kasumi Ishikawa is not known for her fancy serves. Her steady strokes, her inside-out forehand, but her service variation really is outstanding. And in the modern defense game, the opening attack is so important, or having the attack when it's needed. So Qian playing the left-hander is going to receive from way out on the forehand side here. And immediately you could see Ishikawa just a little bit behind the ball, a little late to get her feet where she needed to, wide to the forehand side. 2 forehand attacks from Qian to take the first point in this best-of-7 match. Qian with the heavy chop from the backhand side takes both services from Ishikawa for points. Power from Ishikawa for her first point, out to the forehand side. You get a look at it here, ball sits up, even though it's at the baseline of the table, just sits a little bit high. Ishikawa confidently is going to take that attack, put a bit too much pressure on Qian. And this one sits up a bit too, but heavy rotation from the short pips backhand. Lee hangs on to her 2-point lead. Beautiful shot inside out, as wide as they come to the deep corner. That ball's not coming back. From the start of this point, Ishikawa sets it up well. Light spin on the serve. Just like any other player, the first 2 shots of a rally, super important to set you up well. The vocalization, Ishikawa definitely pumped up here. Start of the match and she's showing. Ishikawa not known to be too vocal. Definitely a fighter though, has carried the Japanese women's team through world championships. Some strong victories in the past. Beautiful shot down the line, short side surprise. That's the SSS, the short side surprise. There's a defensive racket if I've ever seen one. I think technically it'd be legal if you had rubber on both sides. Top spin, kicking shot, a little bit of fishing action from behind the table from Qian to tie it up. Ishikawa starting to get comfortable against the chops. You can see the ball just a little bit below table level. From the camera's angle, we can see it, but from Kasumi Ishikawa's eyes, the contact cannot be seen. So much power, furious forehands, one after another, relentless play from Ishikawa. Just explosive power right now. Again, the timing, so important out here. Ishikawa not especially large in stature, but quite fast, quite experienced.
5-4.
Just like the defender changing it up, the attacker is going to want to change it up as well. Ishikawa with a slower, spinnier shot, leaving it out in front of Qian. As far as footwork goes, this forces both players to really have to move their feet, get an early jump on the ball. Look at these points. counterattacks on both sides from Qian. ISHIKAWA really being tested and having to work hard for a point out here. Perfect placement too, right to the middle on the elbow of Qian. But she covers and gets it back, forces ISHIKAWA to make 2 more impressive shots. And that ball's sitting up a little bit high anyway. Unless it catches an edge, ISHIKAWA is going to be in a good position. Despite starting slowly, ISHIKAWA with a comfortable lead out here. Maybe encouraging is the better term. We've seen bigger swings than this.
9-4.
And the tomahawk chop hooking into the body goes just too long. ISHIKAWA now up 5. And now Kasumi ISHIKAWA with 6 game points to take the first game in style. Ball just too high, and the power shot from ISHIKAWA takes it 11 points to 4 in game 1. We'll be back for game 2 to see if Qian can turn things around or if the streak will continue. Game 2 right after this.
Time.
As time is called, the players will come back to the table. Lovebirds, friends alike will watch in anticipation. Had a chance to see Kinga Stefanska, teammate from Poland of Qian, offering some advice. Now from the body language, seemed like there was some conversation about the placement of shots from chops, even to attacks, to force ISHIKAWA to step around a little bit more. So Qian's going to start off with the serve this game. Steady, patient play throughout. ISHIKAWA with some big expression there. It's like somebody dying of thirst with a leaky roof. Attempted flat hit to the short side. Now Lee was pretty successful in making her forehand attacks in game 1. We see a lot of defenders with even lower percentages going for the attacks. So I don't think she's going to have to stop trying those shots. A traditional chop deep on the forehand side. Qian's going to have to fight and be clever to get points however she can, but I really think that the variety here, not allowing Kasumi ISHIKAWA to get too comfortable or too much in rhythm, will be to her advantage. Last chop was so heavy, you could see on the contact, really brushing under the ball, that inverted rubber. The way she came down on it, it was just loaded. And a few float a little bit, but ISHIKAWA reads perfectly. You can see her keeping herself pumped. Now again, for those of you who aren't used to playing choppers, you're not like Kasumi ISHIKAWA, the Japanese women's team with several chopping options, partners to practice with before playing a chopper. But footwork, Super important. One of the most underappreciated elements in table tennis, and against a chopper, the lower level you might feel like, well, they're farther from the table, I have more time, don't need to move as much. Not the case out here. Excellent recovery. Li Qian manages to get the ball before it bounces twice on the table, rushing in. This is the type of play that will cause Ishikawa to stop and think, what do I need to do out here? Fooled on the serve. It was a fast serve, some underspin on it. More typically topspin for a low fast serve. See it one more time here, chance to see the contact. Beautiful serve, the shovel coming around the outside of the ball. Really happy they showed us that serve again. It happened so quickly, I didn't have a chance to see it the first time around. And again, very subtle contact. Subtlety on the serve is the name of the game. Excellent placement, short side of the table for Ishikawa. Quick decision to take it the other way. Not a big backstroke. Just sees that Li Qian standing on the backhand corner. He's going to get her out of position if it doesn't win the point outright. The varying chops, the placement on the table, the amount of backspin on the ball. Qian extends her lead. Li Qian now up 3. Interesting attempt. Li Qian hasn't forced the forehand attack. Of course, if she makes that shot, we'd be sitting here applauding it. That's a low attack. It's a counter looper's game right there. Typically, defenders going for the attack either set it up for a third ball, stepping around the corner, a push that comes a little long or left a little bit high. After the second towel break of the game, still a 2-point lead for Li. That ball just too high, and with the tomahawk action, it curves to create an opening angle for Ishikawa to go inside out and hit it just out of reach. Ball still bending away, even on 1 foot at full wingspan. Li Qian cannot reach the ball. Well placed right into the crossover, right at the elbow, and Li Qian hangs on to the lead. This is the type of opportunity that defenders look for a bit more. Unless you have a soft, spinny ball to counterattack, usually a push. Little help off the top of the net, but the real adjustment was made to the service. Last time we saw Ishikawa do that shovel serve, it was dumped into the bottom of the net. Li Qian playing some outstanding table tennis out here, from the counterattacks to the placement on the table, the varying chops from both sides. We've got 4 game points on the side of the Polish player. Just too much power. Ishikawa, when she gets a high ball like that, knows how to time it confidently. One game point saved for Ishikawa on the receive. 3 more to go for Li Qian if she needs them. And there it is, the pressure comes back with topspin. Li Qian moving quickly, takes the game 11 points to 7, and it's tied up at 1 game each. We'll see who takes the lead, game 3, right after this.
And 1-1 i set mellan ISHIKAWA, Japan och Qian från Polen. Och i den andra kvartsfinalen så har första setet gått till Korea. Time.
And the players come back for game 3. Kasumi Ishikawa toweling off. There's Sakura Mori. Just finished playing the under 21 women's finals. Women's final, rather. A real fighter. Sakura Mori, the most vocal player I know of, even more so than Bernadette Such. Quite frankly, I find it entertaining. I enjoy it a lot. Ishikawa now starting off with the serve after losing game 2, despite winning game 1 11-4. A little bit rushed on the last shot after 2 quality blocks. Ishikawa covers the middle and the backhand. Li Qian picking her placement on the table with the attacks quite wisely. Outstanding effort on both sides. But the angles created by Li Qian in this point, as soon as she gets a low darting chop, let's see it one more time, covering the backhand, sending Ishikawa way off the table. Knows she has to keep the pressure on, take advantage of having Ishikawa out of position. That's the time for an attack from a defender.
3-0.
A lot of the time, you can see Ishikawa right there puzzled. I was going to say, a lot of the time, coaches are underappreciated, undercredited. It's tough to know how much to credit a coach, but Kinga Stefanska has been doing outstandingly well with Li Qian so far this tournament. Well placed, Ishikawa jams Li Qian in the middle.
1-3.
You'll see, and there's Kinga Stefanska right there. Player slash coach this time around for Li Qian, who's been in the tournament a bit longer than Stefanska. Little help off the top of the net. Ishikawa, so thrilled to get through it, chose and quickly apologizes. Ball sits up just a little bit. Ishikawa with more power. It's tough to maintain this power so many times. You have to remember, every time the ball comes back, it's got more and more underspin. And Ishikawa's hitting these attacks. And finally, the one onto the body freezes up Li Qian. Attempted inside-out forehand. A puzzled Li Qian is surprised this doesn't come down on the table. Again, footwork is key. Placement of the shot was just a little bit onto the body. So much power once again, and it really has to be read perfectly for Ishikawa because that is a loaded chop. Let's see, Li Qian just puts so much on it. A little bit of side spin though keeps it from, I guess it keeps it from staying a little bit low. Sometimes those tomahawk chops tend to sit up a little bit higher. The chopper has to balance the amount of side spin and backspin on the ball. This power. Ishikawa can't be much taller than 5'2". You can see right there her muscle mass, her size, even her coach right there. Gao Yu Yao stands a good 3 or 4 inches taller. but still her timing, her footwork, her body weight, the transfer of the weight, this is where the power comes from. It's interesting, as far as coaches go, sometimes you can tell the experience of a coach and the confidence of the coach by when they call the timeout. Still a bit early in the match maybe for a timeout. A wise friend once told me, the time for a timeout is when you think you can change the outcome of the match. So even if it's in game 3, even if it's in game 1, which is quite rare, timeout needs to be wisely chosen. We got to see the short pips attack from Qian. Not too common to see that, but well read from Ishikawa. One of the strengths of playing for a country, one of the advantages of playing for a country with so many strong players is the amount of varying styles. The Japanese women, many of which you can see right there. Hina Hayata next to Morizono. Misaki Morizono. This time the ball just a little bit too low for that inside-out shot. We're getting some expression throughout from Ishikawa, even when she was dominating in game 1. Shot selection, always crucial. Qian's there though, and that puts a little bit more pressure on Kasumi Ishikawa. Being in the place where your opponent's planning to hit it makes them feel like they have to do more with the ball to win the point. That one just sits too close to the net. Ishikawa comes around the side of the table, gets the forehand kill in. Oh, interesting. Japanese fans from China cheering in Chinese for Kasumi Ishikawa. She does speak some good Mandarin. Outstanding play right off the bounce, and one more. Just so fast from Kasumi Ishikawa. That point, 2 of those shots looked like she'd thrown caution to the wind completely. Qian gets 1 back, but the next one inches over the bracket. There it is, 11 points to 5. A dominant performance again by Kasumi Ishikawa. A 2-1 lead for the young Japanese player, and we'll be back for game 4 right after this short break.
På bord nummer 1 så leder nu Kasumi Ishikawa med 2-1 i set mot Qian från Polen. Och på bord nummer 2 så vann Cheng Yi-Ching det 3:e setet, men hon ligger under med 1-2 mot Soo Won från Korea. Och när de här 2 matcherna är klara så kommer det ytterligare 2 damkvartsfinaler. Det är Meliko från Turkiet som möter Ji Jeon från Korea. Och Mio Kato från Japan möter Han Ying från Tyskland. De matcherna kommer alltså efter de här 2 kvartsfinalerna som pågår nu.
As the players come back to the table, you can see some of the fans reviewing their table tennis thoughts and tactics in the crowd. A lot of young players from Sweden here. And there's the Kasumi Jayo. Add oil, go for it. If you want to make fans around the world speak the languages of the world. Kasumi Ishikawa, one of the nicest athletes in Japan. Even voted that nicest athlete of the year. It takes 3 forehand attacks to the short side of the table for Qian to win this point. Talk about persistence. One of the most difficult shots in the game, especially for a defender, a short side of the table attack. And she nails all of them, even one with a head fake. A bit aside with the topspin from under the table. The attack is back. Li Qian quite deadly with that forehand. Again, 30 years old, and table tennis on the women's or men's side of the game is not a young age. Most players peaking around 26 years old, somewhere in that ballpark, but it does depend which national association you play for. I bring that up because if you're playing for China, it's very rare that someone has a career past 30. You might see them coaching a Japanese player or somebody else, depending on what level they reach in China, of course. Fast, long serve. Looks like there's more topspin on that. Li Qian a little bit late to read the lack of spin. And as I often say, it's not how much spin is on the ball when you serve, but how difficult it is for the receiver to read. So many attacks come right back. The counters from Kasumi Ishikawa. Just amazing that these players are pushing each other to the top of their games. Li Qian has shown us so many times how she can attack with a short forehand stroke, the long inside out one. And still she's down 2-3 in the fourth game. Now remember, since October 1st, 2016, it has been legal for coaches to offer coaching between points whenever the ball is not in play. But having seen several of the World Tour events since then, seeing the top level coaches coach the top players in the world, it doesn't seem to have changed much. Doesn't seem to be much conversation between the coaches and the players unless absolutely necessary. Players tend to know what they're doing, used to being out there on their own for a bit.
5-3.
Not sure if there was a missed contact there. Li Qian apologizing for the fortune, and Kasumi Ishikawa having trouble lifting it back. So 3 in a row for Li Qian from down 2-3. And what appears to be a super heavy underspin serve attempted to be lifted for an angle. Kasumi Ishikawa tapping her head, not happy with the decision there. Safer receive is to try to spin it up over the net, whether it's middle of the table, but still keep it low, as opposed to create such an angle.
3-7.
And this time it looks like a lot of topspin to Ishikawa. She overcovers the ball. Well placed, power into the body. Throughout this match, I've been very impressed with Kasumi Ishikawa's power, but it's been a little while since we've seen so much power. Like that last ball, once again, right to the elbow. Heavy chops once again. So far, if Li Qian can continue to take this game, each game has only been won by one side of the table, and it's the side that Li Qian right there is on right now. The varying chops. So not just the spin variation, but even the fact that Kasumi Ishikawa is losing a lot of points, guessing is going to affect her confidence. Might make her nervous, tense up a little bit. And even that ball from this camera angle looks like it's sitting up higher than usual, but it's trouble for Ishikawa. Now 4 game points, 6 rather, against Kasumi Ishikawa. The short pips backhand attack, dominant performance from Li Qian to tie it up at 2 games apiece, and we'll be back for game 5 to see who steps into the lead right after this.
Slår in en snygg backhand och gör ställningen till 2-2.
As the players come back for game 5, see the Chinese fans in the crowd, interestingly enough, cheering for Kasumi Ishikawa. Interesting, since Li Qian is born and raised in China. Many national players or provincial players find themselves playing for other countries. Talked about the lifespan of different players, tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. Finally, a missed shot from Li Qian. The quality of this point, just incredible again. Talking about her body weight positioning. Getting a little bit low for the counter. Let's see one more time. I think she was wishing she got a little bit lower before the shot. Seemed to be pretty upright. Yeah, bring up the lifespan of the player as they warm up the new ball, because if you play for China, it's rare to play for the national team past the age of 30. Extremely rare. But you could play for country like Luxembourg and play till you're 54 or longer. Wouldn't be surprised to see Ni Xiaolian playing at 57, however old she is at the next Olympic Games. Second topspin shot. Really testing Ishikawa to make sure she's adjusting, changing to the spin. You can see some stress here. Ishikawa checking the temperature of her cheeks, it appears. I will say the sports psychology program within the Japanese women's team is quite strong, from the notebooks to the stretching. A little bit off the top of the net, you could hear the sorry in English from Kasumi Ishikawa. But the fact that Li Qian has used the power so well, giving it right back to Ishikawa, even hit drives from off the table herself. Shown quite impressive play and resilience. In the women's game, we see more top choppers than the men's game, but Li Qian really having an outstanding tournament here. Li Qian actually world rank number 40, playing against world rank number 6, Kasumi Ishikawa, who was world rank number 5 last month for the seeding purposes. A little bit of self-coaching out here. Ishikawa trying to calm herself. Again, patience against the defender. It's all a fine balance, much like life, a balancing act. Ishikawa's shown us when not being so patient, selecting the right shots to power through, and has won many points this way. Little table tennis karma. The ball comes back off the top of the net to help out Li Qian. That ball goes wild. Floated back. Ishikawa thinks it's loaded with backspin. We've seen her make this shot many times, but you can see the difference. The sweat starting to come out, literally, and also, or metaphorically out here, the struggle for Kasumi Ishikawa. I think you can all relate to that at home when you think you might have a parking ticket on your car, you might have missed something important, you sweat quickly. When you start to worry, you tend to sweat and tighten up. This is why the sports psychology is so important, to stay loose out here to play your best. I think we've got a timeout here on the side of Kasumi Ishikawa. I think this is a good time for a timeout. 3-point differential tends to be a time we see the timeout, but Ishikawa definitely struggling out here with the variation in chops. What started off to look like it would be a very quick match in favor of Kasumi Ishikawa has become quite a battle and an uphill one for Kasumi Ishikawa, still quite tight. I can't compliment Kinga Stefanska enough. Watching her in the coaching role, her confidence, her body language, it's confident, assertive, but still gentle, very respectful of another player. Now, as two players, when you're talking to someone who's got a stronger world ranking than you, is arguably a better player, to speak with respect, but still that confidence, to offer good advice, has, I'd say, a lot to say about, one, how smart Kinga Stefanska is, how solid she is as a friend and coach, but also the humility of Li Qian to turn to a fellow player. I mean, you saw a lot of positive head nods out there. This means that she is accepting the coaching that's coming in. It's not a discussion, it's not an argument, it's a, well, I respect that you're sitting outside and might have a more objective view than I do, so I'll take your advice. Look at this power. Li Qian moving Ishikawa all around the table when she takes the forehand. Looks like a full-on attacker. This is some of the power we've seen from Ishikawa throughout the match. Even with Ishikawa set up perfectly to block that back on the backhand side, the pace and the spin, just too much. First point for Ishikawa since the timeout. They've been split. Now, this attack's still solid from Li Qian, but it's a bit behind the table. This is one of many reasons you want to stay closer to the table, to be more of a threat to your opponent, give them less time to react, but also a less predictable shot as far as the angle goes. When have you seen that? When have you seen Ishikawa dump a serve into the net, have trouble receiving Li Qian's serves? The service error, the pressure is just building so much. She could come into game 6 with no timeouts left, one game away from defeat. Inside out forehand. This is a caution to the wind shot. Turns her body away from the ball, puts some side and top spin on it. Let's look at this one more time. With authority like a boss out there. Ishikawa down, but definitely not out. All business. Now this is the patience that you expect to see a little bit more against the defender, but Li Qian now calling the timeout. I would imagine it's Kinga Stefanska who says we need to hang on to this game. 2 points in a row, your forehand attack didn't come into play. Not sure how many Polish speakers are out there watching right now. So again, regardless of how this match turns out, it's been an outstanding tournament for Li Qian, but having the top seed on your list of people you knocked out, outstanding. There's Sean Shana on the right and Maria Schau from Spain. Sean Shana from Germany. Discussing the game. At the beginning of the last time out, Kasumi Ishikawa had a bag of ice on her neck for a moment. Oftentimes, a little ice on the back of the neck can really relax somebody, clear the head.
9-6.
You'll even see ice put on the top of somebody's head on the scalp, but the back of the neck most common. Back from the timeout, Li Qian, their second serve. First chop looks heavier than it is and looped from the middle of the table. Down the middle of the table is the shortest distance. That means there's the least margin for error in Ishikawa now. Down 4 game points. There's that forehand again. Li Qian just coming through dangerous on the forehand side. 11-6 after the timeout, takes 2 straight points for a 3-2 lead, and we'll be back for game 6 to see if it's the last of this match. Stay right here. You're watching the women's singles quarterfinals.
Och på samma vis är det i den andra kvartsfinalen. Cheng Yi-Ching från Chinese Taipei leder nu med 3-2.
And we come back for game 6. Li Qian on screen, representing Poland, the short pitch chopper, leading 3-2 over top seed Kasumi Ishikawa from Japan. And starting off game 6 with the serve. Short side of the table, a big point, a confidence booster right there. Not an easy shot. It looked clear that she was going the other way. Li Qian moving wide to the forehand, especially because of the angle created by the tomahawk. It's almost a gymnast pose at the end of that point, both hands in the air. Wow, that's all I have to say about that. No, it's not. Incredible play. Comes right back. Just one more time, covers the deep chop to the forehand and then power once again. This is the confidence that Ishikawa had in game 1 and then was quickly turned around. They've been alternating games until last game. Just a little bit flat, a little bit late to turn around on that ball. Not a lot of time, ball sitting up just a little bit. Li Qian trying to find an opportunity there. Make the most of a ball left just a little high. Right down the middle. Perfect shot from Li Qian to finish it off. This is the danger. Ishikawa has been staying on the attack. We don't see too many pushes back and forth. One push just sits up a little bit, and this is why choppers want to stay in near the table as much as they can. Why they have to anticipate. Read the opponent's body movements to come in as soon as they realize the push is coming back. So just to let you know, the pattern was broken. Li Qian last game won from the side that had not had a game won on it yet. Edge of the table, that ball the whole time. I don't know if you're like me, watching that sail as it curves, you're thinking that's going right for the edge of the table. This is almost a non-existent meeting. Almost an infinitely small surface, the edge of the table, but yet you can feel sometimes that the ball's gonna come down on the edge. Backhand punch for the winner. Li Qian right there waiting. This whole rally I'm watching thinking how close Li Qian appears to be to the table. When you think chopper, especially in the classic game, you're used to seeing choppers farther from the table. Again, the camera angle helps, but Li Qian right there waiting, and those short pips on the backhand side, much easier to attack than long pips.
3, 4, 8.
That's 3 points in a row for Li Qian. ISHIKAWA started strong, but the score has been leveled here in game 6. The attacks throughout this match of Li Qian have been so impressive. You have to remember, she's playing against a left-handed player too. Left-handers, a bit more of an advantage because it's rare for people to play them. The backhand is where a forehand would be for a right-handed player, and the exact opposite as well. Finally, a chop goes long and they're tied back up. Stefanska there offering some words of encouragement between the points. Now this has always been allowed, for someone to say, come on, let's go. For someone to say, relax, cool down, serve short. Was not allowed until October 1st of this year. That one comes down just wide. ISHIKAWA, a confident shot right off the bounce and into the middle. Gets Li Qian's body in the way. Forces her to try to move the legs, take the shot off the hip. Gao Yuyao, coach for Kasumi ISHIKAWA, watching very closely for any conversation they might have. Excellent play inside out, that wide forehand. ISHIKAWA, again, this is a left-handed specialty. While both players can do it, especially a right-handed player against a left-handed player, right-handed players are less used to that opportunity. When you're left-handed, you're used to playing right-handed players, which is why it's more common to see that inside-out spin on the forehand from a left-handed player. Well placed on the forehand, again deep to the backhand, but a change of pace, a little bit more spin here. ISHIKAWA clearly caught off guard by the bounce. Let's see if there's more going on here than meets the eye. Clean on top of the table. Heavy top spin, a little bit more spin than forward pace. And the kick on the ball just jumps up and out. Getting ready to step around and get that forehand back into play. Now, at the last timeout that was called, for those of you newer to table tennis, each player has a timeout in the match. I expected there to be a timeout for Li Qian that instructed her to play more forehand attacks. The percentage of points that she's won that have involved the forehand attack have to be quite high. Ishikawa just 1 point ahead now. Rolls up the sleeve for her second serve. Power and placement gets Li Qian on 1 foot again. The second time we've seen this pose come out of Li Qian trying to extend and reach the wide forehand. Kasumi Ishikawa makes that look easy, but does not telegraph where she's gonna go with the ball. Takes both of her serves for points. Li Qian gonna try to do the same here. A bit on the body. Li Qian does not get a full swing on that forehand chop. Yuka Ishigaki on the right, a chopper herself. Isaki Morizono and Hina Hayata sitting there, supporting Ishikawa from the crowd as she has 3 game points in game 6.
7-10.
Outstanding recovery. Li Qian with the forehand attacks from the middle of the table again. Saves 1 game point. The 3rd towel break of the game. Not easy shots. Li Qian, when you think about a sweet spot for a forehand attack, some of those shots were right at the hip and the crossover point, but still she loops it back. The top spin again, the forehand. It's times like this that you wish you had a timeout. But both players are spent, no lifelines left. Ishikawa with the positive reinforcement. This is common with the Japanese women's program. If you go to the Japan Open, they'll give you a booklet in the program about positive reinforcement, positivity on the court. 1 more game point for Ishikawa. And the power, she takes it at the last opportunity here. By the narrowest of margins, 2 points. Kasumi Ishikawa is sending this to a 7th and deciding game. Grab your snacks and get comfy. Game 7 coming up right after this.
Yes, but I could not see.
Ja, där vann Cheng Yi-Ching från Chinese Taipei och Choi från Korea. I den andra kvartsfinalen är vi nu framme i ett avgörande set mellan Ishikawa och Li Qian.
Back for game 7, the fans cheering for Kasumi Ishikawa in her 2nd language.
7th game.
At least maybe her 2nd best language, Mandarin. Ishikawa is going to start off game 7 with the serve. The last 2 games have broken the pattern. Players have won on sides that had not been won on before. First 4 games, all won on the side of the table that Ishikawa is on now. Every forehand gets its own grunt for that point. Kasumi Ishikawa just using all the energy she has, whether it's spin or straight up power for that finishing down the line shot. Li Qian tries to flat hit it back. Counter from off the table, but it just doesn't come down. Not missing by much. Talked about how Ishikawa was quite vocal in the start of the match. Haven't heard too much from her until that last point, but she's clearly fired up here. And the score should be 2-0 for Kasumi Ishikawa. Not a point dropped yet at the start of this game. Remember, no timeouts left for either player. Japanese contingency there. Actually, a very small percentage of the Japanese women who are here. If participation gets you any credit, Japan definitely acing this class. The body language of Li Qian is not good right now. Head down. In an 11-point game, the 4-point lead can quickly turn. Li Qian was down 1-4 not too long ago, came back quickly. But Kasumi Ishikawa's not stopping yet. The first 5 points, they're going to switch sides of the table because it's the deciding game. No player should have an advantage based on lighting. Any differences on one side of the table. It's going to be a tough road here for Li Qian to come back. The forehand attack early in the point, if there's anything Li Qian can do to get that forehand attack into play, should be helpful. It's the right idea, but a little bit rushed, trying to go deep to the corner. See Stefanska deep in thought in the corner. Kasumi running around the corner and chasing down the next ball in case it comes down. Still has not lost a point. Look at that face. Focused. Brow furrowed and down. With the counterattack, nothing is coming back. It is all Ishikawa for game 7. Li Qian still. This is when it's really tough. When you feel like you're at rock bottom, what can you do to come back?
8-1.
This could be a little bit of light at the end of a dark tunnel. First point for Li Qian so far in game 7.
1-9.
That last shot though, a lot of power. It just seems almost like a giving up shot at that point. A real lack of caution in the last power attack on the receive. And now it is 9 match points for Kasumi Ishikawa, the top seed, to continue on in this tournament to the women's singles semifinals. Definitely has not been easy for Kasumi Ishikawa. She was down 2-3. And there it is, Kasumi Ishikawa. And a quiet finish. I wondered if something was called for a minute. Kasumi Ishikawa puts her hand to her head, says, wow, that was a scary experience, but what a relief. Vowing thank you to the fans. And an outstanding tournament by Li Qian. Once again, 2 big upsets to make it this far over Hitomi Sato and after that Sean Xiaona. But Kasumi Ishikawa gets revenge for teammate Hitomi Sato and will move on to play the winner. On the other side of the bracket, stick around, we've got another quarterfinal for the women's singles coming up right after this. You're watching the Swedish Open 2016.